Thanks. Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Chege from Internet Society, Africa Regional Bureau. I'll talk very briefly about the Internet Engineering Task Force. You've gone, moved. That's in the middle of the presentation. Just go back. Yeah, so I only have 6 minutes, so I'll be very quick. So that's not the start. Just go to the very back. Okay, so that's me. Next slide. Next. So some of the terminologies you're seeing on that screen may or should be familiar to some of you here. They are protocols, technologies that we use to communicate to each other, send emails, and the topic of this week has been peering, so we all know about BGP. So these are all standards that have been designed by a group of people or an organization, and they allow us to work well on the internet. Next slide. So that organization is the Internet Engineering Task Force, or the IETF, and I put a link to the website at the bottom there. Next slide, please. So what's the IETF? It's a large open international community of network designers, operators, and the goal of the IETF is to make the internet work better. Next slide. So it's open participation in meetings, just very similar to this. You can look at the photos down there. You'll see they're very close to what we're doing here. They meet 3 times a year. This year they've been 2. Third one will be in November. Participation is open to anyone. Anyone in the world. Decisions are made through rough consensus, so it's not really one person making a decision, but it's a communal decision. Technical competence is needed if you want to participate in the IETF, so you need to read about what you want, the technology that you're interested in. And the key thing to note here is participation is open to anyone. There's no minimal technical expertise needed. It's open to anyone in the world. Next. So in Africa, unfortunately, participation is quite low at the moment, and it's something that as the ISOC Africa Regional Bureau, we're trying to address. So there are very few from the region who've been following the meetings or even attending, and what that means is the participation is not high enough to encourage the IETF to hold a meeting in this region. Next slide, please. So as a result of awareness about the IETF and open standards being low, adoption of key standards in this region is low for some key standards in the region not being adopted as well as they should be. Little research on internet standards from university students in the continent, low participation from the region, and sometimes things just don't work the way it's supposed to be. Like there was a discussion yesterday about email and reliability. Well, sometimes email reliability is just because someone who's deployed the service is not conforming to the standards of how email is supposed to work. Next slide. So as the ISOC Africa team, we decided to come up with an initiative we call the Africa IETF Initiative. We want to increase the IETF's visibility in Africa. I want to promote open standards in the continent. So I will talk about IETF only, but there are other organizations that deal with open standards, but IETF is a key one for internet standards. I want to develop a strong community of individuals who will contribute to IETF standards. And hopefully all this will lead to an IETF meeting in Africa in the next 5 years. Next slide. So that's the rough structure of how we think it's going to work. So at the top is the ISOC team. So, myself and the rest of the Africa Regional Bureau, as well as others who are not part of ISOC. There's going to be another group that will be formed, which is called the Africa IETF Task Force. These are going to be members from the community, people like you who are interested in standards and, taking IETF in Africa to the next level. And then we have what we call the engagement network. This is going to be everyone else, whether you're a policy organization or a university or a chapter. There's a role for everyone to play. Next. So how are we going to help you as ISOC? So we're going to provide you with materials for IETF. The plan is also to coordinate activities around IETF on the continent. We'll help you find expertise. Sometimes for some of the working group topics, you need expertise on the IETF. We'll try and help you access that expertise when possible. We'll tell you what's going on at the IETF. That's probably important to the region. And also in the coming few weeks via the mailing list, we're going to tell you more about the plan and how you can play a role in it. So I'm familiar that many people in the room here are either from an ISP, an IXP, or an NREN. There are some activities that we think you'll be able to do and help out in the IETF initiative. For example, most of you are probably very experienced in IETF and you have skills, you could contribute that to your community. You can support someone from your organization to go to the IETF. You can support a local event like a hub or a hackathon. And you can also join the IETF Africa mailing list. I'll provide the link at the end. Next. So that's a typical hackathon venue. So hackathon is where a group of people sit down and try to write code for a standard, or try to solve a problem that's addressed in a standard. And that's a typical venue. So I just showed us to give you an idea of what you need. So nothing big, a small room, connectivity, desks, and maybe snacks for the people coming. Next. Now, one of the key drives that we want to make is to reach out to university students. So if you're a lecturer or a professor, you could tell your students about the IETF. You can use IETF materials in your classes. You can organize hackathons or viewing hub. I'll put a URL at the bottom there. That's web page with materials about the IETF, just for teaching, that you can use to teach stuff about IETF. Next slide, please. If you're a student, you can read about IETF, tell your friends, join a NOG, tell your ICT club, start a hackathon group, and talk about what's going on in the IETF. And you can also join the mailing list for the IETF, where you can tell us what you're doing and how we can help you. Next. If you're just a regular internet user and you're interested in standards, you can go to IETF.org. You can join your local network operator group, or you can join an ISOC chapter. In the next few weeks, we're hoping to coordinate activities around NOGs and chapters, and you can play a part in those if you'd like. The mailing list, you can join right now. There's one that's open. It's called IETF_Africa at elists.isoc.org. I just need to apply. We're going to be sharing information about IETF and trying to coordinate activities on the continent, get more people interested. So you're free to join that. If you're a NOG or an NREN, there's a separate list as well that you can join. This is mainly to coordinate activities that will be done at either NOGs or NRENs that are related to IETF. So we have about 10 NOGs and I think 4 NRENs on that. If you're not on that list already, please send me an email. And that's all from me. So those are some more links you can read about the IETF and ISOC as well, and a couple of references that I use. Thank you.